Hola, estudiantes. Today I'm going to talk about pre-Hispanic beliefs of death. Okay, I'm going to focus on those cultures that are pre-Hispanic, like Aztecs, Mayans, Toltecs, Mexicas. We have a lot of cultures there. I'm just going to say etc. See, I'm going to be very general because I just want you to get the idea of who is who and what are we talking about for later topics in this PowerPoint. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so basically this is a part of the map of Mexico, okay, or Mexico. And in Mexico we had a lot of pre-Hispanic cultures. We have Mexicas, Toltecas, Zapotecas, etc. But the ones that we are going to focus more are in Maya and Aztecas, okay? And if you notice the green part that we have of Mexico, where we have basically Yucatan, see? We have the Mayan Empire here, the Maya Empire. But if we see the orange part, we have the Aztec Empire, no? So this is so you can focus on what is what, because if I talk about the Aztecs, you know what part of Mexico is it. It's more on the center, versus that the Mayan basically is in the peninsula, the peninsula of Yucatan. It's this part here, okay, more. So let's continue, and so you will see in some of my explanations that we refer to the Aztecs and the Mayans and more cultures, of course. Okay. Mictlantecuhtli was the god of death. He was the Aztec god of death and the principal god of the underworld. Throughout Mesoamerican culture, they practiced human sacrifice and ritual cannibalism to placate this god. The worship of Mictlantecuhtli was ongoing with the arrival of Europeans in the Americas. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was the patron of priests, the inventor of the calendar and of books, and the protector of craftsmen. He was also identified with the planet Venus. As a morning and evening star, Quetzalcoatl was the symbol of death and resurrection. He was said to have descended to the underground Mictlán to gather the bones of the ancient dead. Those bones he anointed with his own blood, giving birth to the men who inhabit the present universe. Coatlicue was a goddess that played a number of roles in the Aztec pantheon. Famous for wearing a skirt of snakes, she was the mother of Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec god of war, and served as an agricultural fertility deity. She also prophesied the downfall of the Aztec Empire. This is the Codex of Chimalpopoca. This story tells us how man was created in the pre-Hispanic culture. So it tells that Mictlantecuhtli, the god of death, gathered bones of deceased women and men to take it to Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, took the bones to a place named Tamuachan, the place of origin. Here he found Coatlicue, the goddess of the earth. In Coatlicue, basically grinded those bones in a metate. A metate in those days was like a type of stone where people grinded the corn and other things to cook. So, Coatlicue used the metate to grind the bones of the deceased men and women. After she did that, she gave it to Quetzalcoatl. And Quetzalcoatl went and got reunited with the gods. They basically took the grind bones and mixed it with the blood of the gods. The story tells that they formed with that dough men for the first time. Men was created. So, in what way do you think pre-Hispanic people think? Nowadays, we have many religions. I'm going to talk about my case. If I'm Catholic, when I die, I have three options. Or I go to heaven, or I go to hell, or I go in that between place where you say it's a purgatory place. Okay, so I have to behave when I'm living here in this world if I want to go to heaven. But the mentality of pre-Hispanic people, they didn't see it that way. And we know we have other religions that think differently in a different way. And we believe in that. I like to be open-minded. It's interesting and nice to know about other cultures and history. And they believe very differently. They thought that you go to a certain paradise when you die. And you can go to the paradise of Tlaloc, the Oriental paradise, the Occidental paradise, the Tonacay paradise of the sun, and also to Tonocuatitlan. And I'm going to talk about those later on. And I know we have more things. It's a very long history and a lot of explanation. But the information that I'm giving you, basically it's taken from the literature of the pre-Hispanic literature, the Florentine Codex, and also the Spanish history, the general Spanish history of the things of the New Spain. And you can find very well described each of those paradises and more. But let's go and just take a little view of what's going on with those places of our pre-Hispanic people of the past. So, in what way they expected life after death. Okay, good. So I present to you Tlaloc, and Tlaloc is the god of the rain, see, of water. He lived in a paradise called Tlalocan, and in Tlalocan, imagine that it's a place of a lot of vegetation. There's abundance of water. Okay. It's a beautiful place. And it says that when people get drowned for whatever reason, or they have excess of water, hydropesia, in the body, or because of a strike of lightning you die, you go to this paradise. People know that if you have this kind of situation, that you die in that way, you go to the paradise of Tlaloc, the god of rain and water. That's the first paradise, okay? Tonatiuh is the god of the sun. His paradise was called the Oriental Paradise. And in his paradise, we had basically heroes, warriors. Most of those warriors were people that basically fall in battle. The objective is that those people sacrifice themselves to nurture the sun. And with this, they can prolong the existence of Tonatiuh, the god of the sun. The paradise of the sun was also called Tonacayuc. Basically, all warriors became hummingbirds. How? After 4 years of accompanying the sun in their daily journey, they change into beautiful, beautiful hummingbirds, beautiful feathered hummingbirds with different colors. And they were basically permitted to go down to the earth to feed themselves of the nectar of the flowers. This is the Occidental Paradise. Is the home of many women that died giving birth. They were called Cihuateteos. And they sacrificed themselves to give birth to future warriors. Tonacuatitlan, it's a place or a paradise where you can find a very special tree. And the name of the tree is Chichihualcoatli. And Chichihualcoatli, it's a nursing tree. And if you can see the visual, you can see the milk falling from the tree, so the babies or kids can feed from it, from the milk. This word, the tree name, Chichihualcoatli, if you notice, it starts with Chichi. So Chichi is a Nahuatl word that comes from this name of the tree. Interesting. Escuintle. The name comes from the prehispanic time in the Aztec culture. It was something very precious to have a dog. They sacrificed a dog so they can be with a deceased person in the afterlife. And it was like a guide to guide them through the different obstacles, to get to that perfect place of the Mictlán. And it was said that if the dog had spots in their body, is because they were a guide before with another spirit. So generally they sacrificed the dog that it was clean. Nowadays we really do not know what size was the Exquintle. But here you can see the Chihuahua. And if you can see, it's almost the same as the previous one. Beautiful dog. And the purpose of this little dog, of a Techichi or Exquintle, it was for the last obstacle before going to the Mictlán, previous to the Mictlán. And it was to cross a big river. And the river's name was Chico Nahuapan. Chico Nahuapan. So basically imagine that the little dog or Exquintle, you had the spirit on top. The spirit was mounting the Chihuahua or Exquintle like a horse. Okay? And they needed the Chihuahua. They needed the Exquintle. Now they call it Exquintle, they call it Cholosquintle, they call it Chihuahua, but it's similar. If you notice, it's very similar from the Aztec dog. Okay? So we can also call it Techichi. So to get to the place of the dead called Mictlán, you have to pass many obstacles to exist, because you can die again. And I'm going to talk about those obstacles next. This is a video that I found of the many obstacles before arriving to the Mictlán, the place of the dead. I know I did some research and I found other things like, for example, fighting with a big lizard, and the lizard was called Xalchitonal, and also fighting with a monster crocodile. And they had also to cross 8 deserts and to climb like 8 hills. And then you have the rest of them here. And let's start with the first one that shows you the crossing of the river with a little dog. Next one, it's 2 mountains that they move. And if you want to pass through that, you can get crushed and you can die. Third one, it's the mountains of knives. That's the third obstacle. Fourth obstacle, big winds, but we call them obsidian winds. Then you have the fifth obstacle, and basically it's a place where you hear a strong noise, a disturbing noise. And the next one, I think it's the sixth one, and it's a place where they throw arrows at you. The seventh one is a place where they take away your heart. And the last one, they call it the place of death, the obsidian place of death, a place without a chimney. Maybe they are telling that because it's very, very cold. So you can see that those with visuals, if we read it, of course they have their basically name in their Aztec name language, each one of those. But we don't need to know too much. Just know which one goes with what. Like, you know, the first one, Apanowaya, is basically that river crossing with a little dog. The Tepet Monana Misian, that's the movement of the two mountains. Istepet, that's a mountain with nines. Yekayan, it's the big obsidian winds. Then you have the Pancuencuetlacayan. It's the place that you hear those loud noises. Then you have the Termiminaloya. That's the place where they throw arrows to you. Then you have the Teyoyocualoyan. That's the place where they take away your heart. And it's Mictlan. It's a place of death. The obsidian place of death without chimney. That means that it can be very cold. So it's an interesting slide where you can see what's happening in those days. What are the beliefs before going to the Mictlan? Finally, our deceased, after so many obstacles, he or she arrives to the place of the dead, Mictlan. And we have the king, Mictlanticutli, and we have the queen, Mictlancihuatl. Our spirit gives offerings to Mictlanticutli, and the queen basically shows in what region the spirit is going to live. The nice thing about the Mictlan is that it's not a dark place. It's not a place of punishment. It's just your home between the dead. Another thing to notice is that prehispanic people consider that when the sun goes down and disappears in that sunset, it goes down to the Mictlan, and our dead wakes up between the dead. If you can see, here we have the god of death, and it's Mictlanticutli. You can see the vigil. Mictlancihuatl is the queen of the place of the dead, of that Mictlan. You can see the vigil. We have here Cempasúchil. In Nahuatl, between the Aztec, was known as 20 flor, 20 flower. In those days, they use it for health remedies. But nowadays, it's not used for that. Basically, we use it for the tombs of deceased people, or altars, to decorate altars, to also use them for paths of decoration. And it basically, we have the saying that it's that aroma of the flower guides our souls to the altar, to the tombs, wherever you put them. And it's just, you know, part of the culture since the prehispanic culture. Now let's start talking about skulls. Why do you see so much skulls in pre-Hispanic beliefs? No, in their pictures, visuals, etc. I think they gave a lot of importance of sacrifice, of death, as being that cycle. but not that cycle of stopping life, but a continuation of life, a different life, like we see in the Mictlan. See, we live, we die, but they thought that all of them were going to go to the Mictlan. So here we have two things with skulls. We have what we call in those days that zompantli. Imagine that it's a wall, and that you are going to put the heads of human beings when they are sacrificed, when they had that event of having a war. See, and there were two kinds of offerings. One, it was sacrifice with a zompantli, where you put as an offering for the gods. In this case, it can be the god of the sun. We put the offerings in the wall of those warriors. It was cráneos de los guerreros, skulls of warriors, see, as basically offering. But then you had other things, and I'm going to show you in our next slides about a zompantli. In this visual, you see two of them, and you see that zompantli there, okay? You see it on the right side. Another version is when they went to war, those that lost, they basically cut the head and put it in its zompantli as an evidence of manifestation of that control, politic and religious control of the Mexicas in this case. That's between the Mexicas, okay? So I don't know if the Aztecs did the same thing or not, but it's somewhat, we are talking about pre-Hispanic cultures in those days. So maybe the Mexicas did that in a zompantli when they defeated those other cultures, and basically they did it for a political and religious control or manifestation of this. But in the other case, no, it was basically a sacrifice of offering. So we have both versions of the story, no? Maybe it varies between different cultures of those days. Here we see chocolate, and chocolate was used, or cacao, since the pre-Hispanic days. And it is believed that in those days when somebody died, they washed the deceased person with water and chocolate. Now, of course, we put it as a decoration in altars. We drink it, we eat it, we like it, we do mix, we do everything with it. But it's a great example of what other generations left for us. El petate, it's a type of rug made of palm trees. This kind of rug was used in pre-Hispanic time, and it was used to lay down, to sleep, to give birth to babies. And also when a person died, the deceased person was covered in it with a petate. Nowadays, they continue doing petates. Maybe we don't use it as much as before, but in present days, we use it for the decorative purposes. And they do many sizes, small ones, medium, large, different colors, etc., etc. El saumerio y el copal. El saumerio is a type of cup that you see on the right side of the video. And generally we use it to burn the copal. Copal is a type of resin that comes from trees, and we burn it with carbon. And this was used in the pre-Hispanic era. Many people use it nowadays to clean that space that you have at home or certain spaces to give good and positive energy to your environment. The Aztecs, they were polytheistic. They believed in many gods. And their basic and central focus was the Aztec calendar. That was their religion. Most of the temples of the Aztecs were called teocallis, and they were like form of pyramids. The cult of the Aztecs were destined basically in giving presents and sacrifices to their different gods. And they were more focused on the agriculture, basically. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Basically, I put the skeleton of a person with a little dog because I know many of us, we like dogs. And even though we are human beings, we have a skeleton. And dogs have skeletons also. And also kitty cats. So I like this one. I think it was beautiful, the image of caring about the dog. And how do we cross the river with that spirit of that little dog guiding us? So those that have animals at home also, we should appreciate those little animals that give us joy to everyone at home. So this was basically a class lecture of all the things that we see nowadays that have that pre-Hispanic heritage and pre-Hispanic elements also. And it's a marvelous history. I'm just giving you a little bit, but we have a lot to learn and appreciate because we are living in a modern society with different aspects to worry about, okay? And to be happy also.